It's my job to help people learn the proper constructive use of destruction magic. And let's face it, blowing things up can be ever so much fun. Hey, welcome back. And today, we're going to be talking about one of the many schools of magic here in the lovely world of the Elder Scrolls, destruction magic. Whether it's elemental damage, value draining damage, or just disintegrating your enemies, these are the tools any mage would need to have when exploring the dangers that lurk beneath the depths of Tamriel. Today, I have found 2 in-game books from Oblivion, going through stories about the destruction skill tree. The first one, Response to Bero's Speech, by Malvisor, Battle Mage. This book is basically a YouTube response video to a text that, as far as I can figure out, has been in none of the Elder Scrolls games, which is a shame, but it basically serves as a way to dissect the concept itself of destruction in an academic sense, which I think is extremely interesting. This text can be found inside the Mystic Archives of the Arcane University. On the 14th of last seed, an illusionist by the name of Bero gave a very ignorant speech at the chantry of Julianos in the Imperial City. As ignorant speeches are hardly uncommon, there was no reason to respond to it. Unfortunately, he has since had his speech privately printed as Bero's speech to the battle mages, and it's received some small, undeserved attention in academic circles. Let us put his misconceptions to rest. Bero began his lecture with the occasionally factual account of famous battle mages from Zurin Arctus, Tiber Septim's Imperial Battle Mage, to Yegar Tharn, Uriel Septim VII's Imperial Battle Mage. His intent was to show that where it matters, the battle mages rely on other schools of magicka, not the school of destruction, which is supposedly a battle mage's particular forte. Allow me first to dispute these so-called historical facts. Zurin Arctus did not create the golem Numidium by spells of mysticism and conjuration, as Bero alleges. The truth is, we don't know how Numidium was created, or if it was a golem, or Atronach in any traditional sense of those words. Uriel V's battle mage Hethoth was not an imperial battle mage. He was simply a sorcerer in the employ of the Empire. Thus, which spells he cast in various battles on Akavir are irrelevant, not to mention hearsay. Bero calls Empress Morahatha's battle mage Wellock an accomplished diplomat, but not a powerful student of the School of Destruction. I congratulate Bero on correctly identifying an Imperial battle mage, but there are many written examples of Wellock's skill in the School of Destruction. The sage Celeris, for example, wrote extensively about Wellock, casting the vampiric cloud on the rebellious army of Black Rose, causing their strength and skill to pass on their opponents. What is this but an impressive example of the School of Destruction? Bero, rather pathetically, includes Yegar Tharn in his list of underachieving battle mages. To use an insane traitor as example of rational behavior is an untenable position. What would Bero prefer? That Tharn used the School of Destruction to destroy Tamriel by a more traditional means? Bero uses his misinterpretation of history as the basis for his argument. Even if he had found 4 excellent examples from history of battle mages casting spells outside their school, and he didn't, he would only have anecdotal evidence, which isn't enough to support an argument. I could easily find 4 examples of illusionists casting healing spells, or Nightblades teleporting. There is a time and a place for everything. Bero's argument, built on shaky ground, is that the School of Destruction is not a true school. He calls it narrow and shallow as an avenue of study, and its students impatient with megalomaniac tendencies. How could one respond to this? Someone who knows nothing about casting a spell of destruction, criticizing the school for being too simple? Summarizing the School of Destruction as learning how to do the maximum amount of damage in the minimum amount of time is clearly absurd, and he expounds on his ignorance by listing all the complicated factors studied in his own School of Illusion. Allow me, in response, to list the factors studied in the School of Destruction. The means of delivering the spell matters more in the School of Destruction than any other school, whether it is cast at a touch, at a range, in concentric circles, or cast once to be triggered later. What forces must be reined in to cast the spell? Fire, lightning, or frost? And what are the advantages and dangers of each? What are the responses from different targets from the assault of different spells of destruction? What are the possible defenses, and how may they be assailed? What environmental factors must be taken into consideration? What are the advantages of spells of delayed damage? Bero suggests that the School of Destruction cannot be subtle, yet he forgets about all the curses that fall under the mantle of the school, sometimes affecting generation after generation in subtle yet sublime ways. The School of Alteration is a distinct and separate entity from the School of Destruction, and Bero's argument that they should be merged into one is patently ludicrous. He insists, again, a man who knows nothing about the schools of Alteration and Destruction is the one insisting this, that damage is part of the changing of reality dealt with by the spells of alteration. The implication is that levitation, to list the spell of alteration, is a close cousin of shockbolt, a spell of destruction. It would make as much sense to say that the school of alteration, being all about actuality of change, should absorb the school of illusion, being all about the appearance of change. It certainly isn't a coincidence that a master of the School of Illusion cast this attack on the School of Destruction. Illusion is, after all about the masking of truth. And finally, the Liturgy of Affliction, transcribed by Anais Gay, a body horror story from the Shivering Isles, where a temple healer uses the power of destruction to its ultimate conclusion. You can find the book here, in the Books of Bliss in the Shivering Isles. Dearest reader, the tome that you hold in your hand is a chronicle of pain, of torment, and of discovery. In these memoirs, I shall impart to you an autobiography of a foolish and failed attempt to achieve a great power. As I break the bonds of propriety, throw off the restraints of ancient laws of the arcane, and cast aside the bonds of magical ethics, for contained herein you shall find the dying words of Vexus Valoran. Let it be known to you, loyal reader, that I remain until my dying moment a student of Magica. But no typical apprentice am I. I am the one who forged a unique path to the deeper understanding of the mechanics of Magica. Through the affliction of destruction magic on my own flesh, I have accomplished more than any student before me has. It is by that folly that I come to you now, lucid as ever, fully alert in my facilities, and acutely cognizant of the satisfaction that I have made in my quest. I have long since lost the capacity to feel any physical sensation beyond absolute agony. I have become so accustomed to it, so detached from the feeling, that to me, pain is simply always there. You do not think of the air around you as a sensation, do you? How is it, you ask, that I came to be what I am? It began innocently enough. I was once a healer, one of the most promising students of the temple. Which one? It doesn't matter. I was eventually expelled. Fools. You see, we had a number of patients interned in our humble sanctuary who had been infected with the red fever. My attempts to use the magical arts to turn their disease onto itself were less than successful in the early stages. For trying to find a cure, I was cast out. It was not long after my exile that I discovered the means to eradicate infection using the destructive energies of Magica. In my explorations of the School of Destruction, I discovered that by pulling the elemental energies through my own body, I was able to increase the raw output of energy. From the experience of a lightning bolt surging through my own body, I was able to deepen my understanding of the raw forces of Magica. At first, the pain was bearable. I directed only a minor amount of energy back in towards myself. I learned to couple the destruction with restorative energies. It helped to abate the damage done to my body, but it did nothing to stop the pain itself. My tolerance for pain increased. I began to channel more and more through my body.
My understanding of destruction outgrew my knowledge for restoration. While it could still lessen the damage, it could not stop it. My skin became charred and blackened. It dried, flaked off, and cracked. I stunk of cooked meat, but I could not resist the draw of more and more energy. I became a skooma fiend of the worst sort. I no longer used magic for any practical purpose. I simply sought more and more energy. I relished the pain, anticipated the moment when the energy and the pain would wash over me as one, burning it beyond recognition. Freezing my flesh, my skin became a network of scars, sores, lesions, and burns. But it was never enough. Never. I needed more. More pain, more power. I lost my sight. My eyes melted into boiling pools of vitreous humor. So hot that they left streaks of blistered skin as they ran down my face like burning tears. My right hand froze solid and shattered into 1,000 pieces when I carelessly bashed it against the door jamb in terror. Once I realized what had happened, the bones on both my legs shattered outwards like broken glass, shredding the flesh and muscles surrounding them. While this may sound like a fate of terrible consequences, my dearest reader, I can assure you, you will never know what it is to be a creature of flesh and bone. You will never have the degree of knowledge of the fertility of flesh that I have grown to know. I have achieved a level of understanding of Magica beyond that of the Grand Masters of the Guild. But that accomplishment pales in comparison to the grander discoveries that this experience has bestowed upon me. People like you think pain is to be avoided, hidden from, feared. Through my suffering and the numbness that now robs me of the ability to feel it, I can say this to you. Pain is a simple factor of human existence. It affords us the opportunity to feel, to appreciate the temporary shell that our spirits occupy. Pain is the greatest gift that the gods have ever given mortal man. And now, as I tell you this story by way of a scribe, I am a stump of a man, wrapped in seeping bandages, never to know pleasure again. Even still, I have but one message to impart to you. Embrace what you are. Glory to Lord Sheol-Gorath, for he has opened my eyes.
Hey, thanks for watching all that stuff, or listening, or doing whatever with it. If you did like any part of any of that, feel free to do the follow, like, subscribe thing, and also leave a comment if you have any story from the wonderful world of Oblivion that you would like me to take a look at. But until then, try not to burn down all of Cyrodiil.